Hello, all. This is Dr. Dave Maslach talking about Reciprocity.com, the sharing economy proofreading platform that I am trying to build. And in this particular video, I really wanted to talk about marketing your idea and how you should go about marketing your idea, whether you should fake it until you make it or just be absolutely authentic. So this is part of my startup and small business series. I'm a professor of innovation, strategy, and entrepreneurship at a large research school. And this entire project, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help out other people as much as I possibly can. And creating the proofreading platform that I'm trying to build is one way of, yes, it's scratching my own itch. This was a problem that I had. I was trying to find people to get help with my own proofreading services. But I also knew that I learned a lot of stuff along the way, and I would like to just share it and give out some videos and tips and stuff like that as much as I possibly can to help out as many people as I can. And then if it ever becomes profitable with this thing, then I could start giving some of this money back to graduate students and doing scholarships and, you know, really fun things like that that I can't do right now. So coming back to how do you market your idea, whether you should fake it until you make it or be very authentic. So in this particular video, I really wanted to talk about what do I mean by marketing your idea? What am I going to go into? Then I'm going to talk about sort of the emotions you get, both from yourself and as well as others in response. And then finally, what can you do? How can you go about of actually pushing this forward and continuing to push your idea forward, however it is, right? So what do I mean by marketing your idea? I'm talking about if you have a small business, you're a startup, you've just started something, you're 6 months in, you're a year in, you're 2 years in, and you're still chugging along at this particular thing. How do you actually go about of actually marketing your idea? If you're an academic, how do you go and market the idea that you've been working on for a couple of years and you think it's really interesting, and then you try to go get feedback on that idea? If you have an invention that you've created, it's in your backyard, it's really cool, how do you go about of marketing this idea? How do you get out there and start telling people? In fact, that's one of the sort of problems. Eric von Hippel, I've talked about him a bunch now lately because I've been fascinated with his stream of research. It's one of the problems where he showed that there is a problem right now with what are called user inventors, or people that just do free invention, or innovators. They just create stuff in their backyard. And a lot of people actually do this. They create a really cool thing. They think it's really awesome, but then they never ever pass it along. So there's a breakdown. So something cool is created and they never pass that idea along, or it doesn't get passed along very quickly. And so nothing ever happens of it. Some really cool things are invented, but nobody ever passes the idea along. So what do you do in that case? So first of all, what you end up happening with this sort of, when you market your idea, you go through this particular response, right? You're really shy. At least I am. I'm extremely shy and I'm introverted. And if you're kind of the inventor kind of type, you're probably really not wanting to share the idea as much as you would like. And I'm really shy. And then I feel in my mind, I have this picture of me just kind of crawling out of a little hole, a little tiny hole, and I'm like, meep, right? And then all of a sudden everybody jumps on you and gives all this sort of negative feedback and tears it apart. And you're like, oh my God, I got to go back into this hole. Right? I could just see it in my head of, I'm just kind of inching my way out. And then I just kind of do one little meep like that. And then everybody pounces. And that's just, it's happened to me. This is what I'm always thinking. I'm that scared little boy, that 8-year-old boy that's trying to give a presentation. And I imagine you really feel like this as well. Most of us feel like this, right? You're that scared 8-year-old kid that's trying to give a presentation in front of their class, and everybody's looking at you and everybody's ready to pounce and tear that thing apart. And we all feel like that whenever we create something, because it's new, it's different, nobody's seen it, and people are really wanting to either give positive feedback or negative feedback when you get this. So when you when you share your idea, right? So these are the kind of responses that you're going to get. This has happened to me. So I'm a professor and I have to share my ideas. I'm a research professor. I have to share my ideas. And this happens all the time. And depending on kind of the stage you're at, so if you're kind of at the newer stage and you're just sharing the idea, you're going to be really insecure about that particular thing. As you move along, you get a little bit more secure, not much, but you get a little bit more secure because you get more feedback, and you can, what ends up happening is you learn how to deal with those responses that come your way that other people have done before. Everything you create, everything you do, absolutely every invention, every startup, every academic idea, every paper, whatever it is, everything has flaws. It's all a giant mess. Everything is a giant mess, and there's nothing that's perfect. There's always flaws in everything that you do, and you're always like, darn it, I wish I could do a little bit more. In fact, so with Reciprocity, the reason why I'm pointing this out is one of the people that were using this, I was sending this out, and I was putting some documents on there, and they were proofreading, and they realized they weren't getting any credit. And I greatly appreciated those comments, and I felt so bad that they weren't getting credits because it was working at one point. The entire system was working. You get credits if you proofread other people's work, like a game. And then I realized it was broken. Something broke. I don't know what happened. So now I've got to go back, and I have to go and rejig everything and, get a developer. I got to go find, so there was more to it. So I had a development team, a contract manufacturing team, and they developed it. And I think it kind of fell apart. That relationship kind of fell apart at this point. I don't think that they're necessarily all that interested in developing it any further. So I'm trying to find another group to push this forward, and something that's a little bit more cost effective as well to push us forward so I can continue to grow. So I'm looking for that right now. And then I got this email of like, oh, it's broken. I'm like, oh, really? This is awful. I can't. Yeah. Anyways, it's part of the process. Anything that you do, there's always problems. There's always mistakes. It just does not work. It falls apart. With giving my own ideas, they fall apart. Me giving these YouTube videos to you, I'm sure that there's other YouTube people out there that are sharing their ideas, and you just feel so, you just feel like that 8-year-old boy, right? So the responses, the responses that you get in return, so there's multiple responses. One is a null response, nothing happens, nobody does anything, and that's normal. In fact, most people are gonna not respond. They're just not gonna care with what you're doing. That's totally fine. And that's probably going to be 95% of the people out there are not going to care. They're going to be like, oh, whatever, good job. But there's going to be 5%. The other 5% are going to have either two responses. And it just kind of depends on personalities, to be honest, and how they deal with new things, how they process new things. It has really nothing to do with the idea. It's more of how they process that idea and think about that idea. The one is, it's a positive response, and they're kind of doing the yes and sort of logic where they're like, oh man, that's really cool. What if we did this, and what if we did that, and everything just worked, and how do we do this, and all that excitement. That's going to be a small group, and they that response is going to be very small because that's just how they deal with that sort of uncertainty. They can put things together, but then there's also going to be a fairly large group that are being like, that sucks. That's awful. What you're doing is just problematic. There's all these flaws. There's nothing you could do with it. You should end up just throwing it out. And, there's A, B, C, D flaws. You could throw it out, and you shouldn't be doing that ever again. Now, that is more of the response that you're going to get. Well, maybe, and I don't know, right? I haven't seen any research on this. Maybe the responses are equal. Maybe that there's equal numbers of people that are giving that very positive response, and the other one is very negative response. But we react a lot more to that negative response. And in fact, it's just kind of biology, right? If something is going to burn you and somebody says, that's a terrible idea, don't touch that thing, you probably shouldn't touch that thing, right? So you're going to respond more negatively to that negative response, or you're going to respond more emotionally to that negative response, and it's going to get that feeling in your gut where you feel like throwing up, you feel like this is terrible, why am I doing this? this is such a stupid idea. You are going to go through all of those emotions when you do that kind of stuff, right? So here's the thing. Those responses that you get, you have to take a step back, really take a step back as much as you can, and just know that those are just emotional responses. That those are responses that people are just simply reacting to, or that's just the way that they process information, either in that sort of negative way or positive way. That's just how they respond to anything that's novel and new, right? In fact, there's a really cool paper that came out a few years ago, and I'm blanking on who actually wrote it. It was a psychology paper where they showed that people associate any sort of novel ideas with very negative feelings, right? So they sort of associated novel words, new words like novelty and things like that, and associated sort of very negative, yucky words like vomit, right? And barf. And then they showed that people were they had very similar responses, the way that they responded to those kind of words compared to the positive words. So the novelty made people sort of made them feel uneasy. A lot of people uneasy with how they respond to that. So just know that that is an emotional response, and you have to disentangle that emotional response and just know that they're providing you with some rational, really true, good information, right? So this person that gave me some help with reciprocity, I was like, at first I was like, oh, crap, right? And it was not a good day yesterday. I'm going to tell you that. I had a lot of different things happen to me, just probably like you do when you have this kind of stuff happen. It feels like everything happens all at once. You just feel like, oh, right? So this person who is amazing, and I appreciate everything that this person did. I'm internally grateful for this, that they actually raised this issue, because users actually help you out a lot. In fact, that's how most major innovations actually get invented. And that's why I really like Eric von Hippel's work. And there's a whole bunch of colleagues, Sonali Shah, and she's at Illinois. There's Carlise Baldwin at Harvard. There's a bunch of really good scholars that are doing this kind of work, and they're showing that a lot of new innovations come from the feedback of users when they're using that. And this is a moment where I was like, I got this negative response, this negative feeling, but then I also knew it was good information that she was raising to me and telling me that there was something going on. So that was really positive. So now I've got to go and speed up the development process. I have to go and find a developer a little quicker at this moment. I was kind of doing capital rationing and putting that to the side. But now I really need to address that particular issue. So thank you so much. I know that this person's going to be watching this video. Thank you so much for doing that. I definitely do appreciate that. So there is this rational information that you provide. And how do you deal with these kind of responses that you get, either these very, nothing response, the sort of emotional responses that you get? Well, it's kind of a dance is essentially what it is. That's how I think of it, is that you get this feedback and you're like, this is awful, right? You get this feedback and you should be responsive to that feedback. Show that you're actually trying to do something and respond, and that you sincerely appreciate. So again, thank you. I sincerely appreciate all of the help that you're getting along the way. And just continue to persist. The one thing that you will know that there will be these roadblocks that'll come up, and they're repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again. But you have to keep going. And then what that does, it builds trust with not only that one particular person, but as well builds trust with others, that you're sort of willing to continue on and, work with something that's imperfect and problematic and terrible, and that's got all these problems and all this kind of stuff. And everything you do, every idea sucks at the beginning. They all are awful at the beginning, but you got to keep working at it and pushing it through. And it's more about this trust building exercise of like, this is problematic, and just keep pushing through. And that's how you're going to actually help out, and other people are going to get involved, because that they see how you respond to that stuff. So it's a combination, again. So it's a combination of faking it till you're making it, faking it till you make it, right? So it's you have to sort of put something out and have enough confidence that you're not going to just shy away, and it's going to be hard, right? So you have to fake it until you make it. And then also being very, very authentic. I think that's the critical thing, is being authentic. And that's why I'm putting out this video. I really wanted to say thank you to that one person that helped me. That you have to be very authentic, that there are all of these flaws. I can go through and tell you all these different flaws with what this has, or the thing that you're building has all of these flaws, but here are the things that it also does really well, or that's really cool, and you see all this potential with this. So the way that I would deal with it is I would just simply ask that person that's being very, helpful in raising these concerns and stuff, but just saying, that there's all these flaws. Yes, I get all that. There's a lot of positive things that happen as well with this thing. And, how would you deal with this? How would you go about of actually dealing with this particular issue and building this thing out, right? What would you recommend? And often, and this is particularly something that happened in my academic life, that there is often, if you ask somebody and you're very sincere and you say, this is a really cool idea, and I know that there's A, B, and C problems with it. You're absolutely right. How would you go about of dealing with this? What would you do in this case to move this forward? And you'll often get a big pause, right? That they don't know how to respond with that issue either. They're like, most people could see flaws very easily, but they don't know how to respond to it. So they're going to pause, and then they're going to have to think about it. And then you're going to get them on board. You're going to start building this relationship with somebody that you wouldn't have thought, that they were very critical and all that, but you're building a relationship. And those relationships, that's how business forms. That's what business is all about, is building these long-term relationships where you're building friendships. And sometimes they start off with a really rocky start, and it's difficult, but it's also, that's how they build, right? Not every relationship starts off as, oh, this is fun and everybody, it's hunky-dory, but often it starts off with something that's negative, and you just got to be very sincere and authentic, as well as showing, I'm trying to sort of fake it until I make it, and trying to help you as much as I possibly can, but also know that, I'm just imperfect. I've created this thing, I spent a lot of money on it, and I think it's a great idea. I'm just trying to help out as many people as I possibly can. I know that there's all these flaws. Just, that's the response that you should be doing, right? That you are pushing this forward. You've devoted a lot of time, and you know that there's all these problems. And what would you do? How would you go about of doing this? What is your response? And that's what you have to sort of communicate to these critics, or people that are sort of, they see flaws with that particular idea. And often you're going to build a relationship, and B, you're going to probably get some pretty good feedback, and C, they're also going to see how hard it is. They're going to start clearly seeing that there is benefits, but it's also really difficult and challenging along the way. And they might give you a little bit more slack, right? They might help you out in other ways. That is really cool. And, I appreciate everything that everybody does with this. And I appreciate everybody in my life, to be honest. I feel very privileged to be able to talk to you on YouTube and talk to others. It's a privilege to be able to do this and to push us forward, and to be some random weird academic person in some probably a weird country that you've never heard, you've never seen, and be able to tell this to you. This is really cool and exciting, and it's a privilege to be able to do this and to help you out as much as I possibly can. So thank you so much. That's all I wanted to say. If you like this video, do the old thumbs up, as well as make sure that you do watch the other videos. It does help. It definitely is. I'm appreciative of everything you do. So thank you so much. Take care, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.